What's good, Bolt fam? Welcome to what I believe is the first edition of BoltBlitz Quick Hits. And on this edition, we're joined by co-host Taylor Bloom. I'm not sure there's anybody else I'd rather be joined by right now. We've talked a lot pre-show. We've got the Chargers heading into Denver in a game where we're still a little unclear on the amount of people who will play. We do know some players who will not play, including Justin Herbert. Trey Lance will get to start at quarterback. This is going to be an interesting matchup, an interesting game. It also feels like the Chargers have relegated themselves to the fact that the 7th seed is just fine, and they'd almost rather play New England than they would anybody else. Taylor, in a brief way, prior to what we talk about regarding our 4 topics for the show, what kind of stands out to you when it comes to this game moving forward?
Well, to your point, I think the Chargers have mailed it in for Week 18. I know I said on my show that I don't think they're going to get a win, but what I do think is really
our show is the Electric Edge podcast. If you have not checked it out, you're literally failing yourself, and you really don't care about being a good Chargers fan or a knowledgeable Chargers fan. If you really just want facts straight to the point, tune into the Electric Edge podcast, and she'll let you know at the end of the show exactly what you can do. So I'm not going to apologize for interrupting. Go ahead.
Nope, that's okay. I think, though, the one point I do take away from kind of what's going on in Week 18 is that we actually have competent coaching, and they're going to sit starters and get guys healthy to be ready for the wild card round. I think we had talked about this last week, Booga, and I talked a little about it on my show too, the debacle in, I think it was 22 or 23 with Mike Williams getting hurt at Denver, locked into a 5 seed. So I think it's a really good call to sit starters. And, we don't know all the starters that are going to sit. I know Marion Hampton's already ruled out. We knew Herbert since Monday was not going to play. But I think
let me make something clear real fast too. Hampton sitting is more a precaution than an actual injury concern. This Chargers coaching staff, including the front office and Joe Ortiz, they know exactly what Hampton is capable, or he wouldn't have been the pick there in the first round.
Yep.
It's him now. So what we'll do is we'll kind of segue into one of our topics, if you don't mind, Taylor.
Yeah.
Should Kamani Vidal play? And I'll say it right now before you get into your gist, if you will. Yes, he should, but they should kind of limit carries. Where do you stand on that?
I'm torn in both aspects. One, I think he could definitely use the reps going into the playoffs, considering being out last week. I think got hurt in the 4th quarter in that Cowboys game. So one, I think it'd be great for him to get some reps. The other part of me is that it was a neck injury that was listed, and I just don't want him to be banged up going into a wildcard weekend where you don't have your 1-2 tandem at running backs, and you got to rely on someone like Jared Patterson, who's been good, but he's not Vidal.
So you lead me off so perfectly. You set me up literally as perfectly as it could be. So what do we expect from a guy like Patterson? He's a guy who's he's hung out around the practice squad and found a way to inject himself, if you will, via his ability when it comes to being thrust into the 53-man lineup. He's shown a little chutzpah, if you will. He's shown a little, let me get every yard I can. I'm always going to be a fan of every running back who falls forward. Patterson seems to have that. This is not a game the Chargers are necessarily concerned about winning, but what are your thoughts on Patterson in this game? And let's not do some weird stat, prediction, if you will. But I think that he'll do enough to at least keep them successful on offense to where it's not a blowout.
Yeah, I don't think this game is going to be a blowout. I know there's like it started with like a 6.5 point favor of the Broncos, and it's gone all the way up to 12.5 points. I don't think it's going to be nearly that bad. I think this could be potentially a 3-point game. And I go back to I think it was last week at this point. Broncos play the Chiefs. Chiefs have their 3rd-string quarterback in. They had a bunch of 2nd-string guys on that defense, and the Broncos barely got a win. So I don't think this game is going to be a blowout like the analyst in Vegas is saying it's going to be. But on the point of Patterson, I really like him when he's in. He runs really hard. My only caveat is, what's the state of this offensive line going to be with a bunch of 2nd-string guys that are going to be getting the start against the top string for Denver this weekend, because Denver is going to play all their starters. So they're
trying to play for that seeding, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's my only issue, where I don't know where the rushing yards are going to fall this week, and how well that offensive line is going to hold against these top guys.
Well, and honestly, it's an interesting dilemma, I think, for both teams. The Chargers have already kind of conceded, if you will, that they're going to rest as many players as possible. Anybody who needs rest. The Chargers stalwarts, of course, that were announced in a tweet by the Chargers social media team. The best players on the team, Justin Herbert, Khalil Mack, and Bradley Bozeman, will be resting. One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah.
Bradley Bozeman does not need to be included in this statement. That being said, I could keep going. You know what I was getting at all.
Yep.
All of you know exactly what I was saying. A chance to see Andre James, it looks like. And we didn't talk about this pre-show, but I know you have an opinion because you always do. You've been following this team for so long and supporting this team for so long. It's why one of the reasons, many reasons why your podcast is so successful. Your thoughts on Andre James?
I'm excited to see him get a full start. I mean, I've been an advocate to try Andre James. I know there's conversation, not everything is Bradley Bozeman's fault, and I totally get that. But from the casual fan perspective, and I call myself a casual fan who really loves the team, it just seems like every time there's an important drive or important play, Bradley Bozeman is missing an assignment or getting lit up the middle. And I do check PFF stats, and he's always at the bottom of the barrel. I don't know what he's at right now, but I go back to the Sunday night game where they have all the PFF grades of the Chargers offensive linemen, and they're all, bottom of the league in every single position besides Zion. So I'm excited to see him get a start. My only issue, like I said, is going against this top defensive front for Denver.
You nail everything. That was so good. No, hold on though. Just imagine if Justin Herbert had a little protection and a run game that Greg Roman could actually constitute running with the proper tight ends. That's a little shout out to 80 Simons there, even though he's not tuned in right now and listening. The Patterson thing, I expect him to do all right. I hope that they find a way to get the run game going. I will tell you this. Greg Roman, Jim Harbaugh, this is going to be a preseason type offense. Yeah. It's going to be, they're not giving, I almost said excuse me, I don't do that. Not too often. But they are going to be running nothing that gives away anything moving into the playoffs.
Yep.
Hampton sitting is clearly a decision in the best interest of the entire organization, much less just Hampton. But speaking of players who we don't want to sit, Keenan Allen, the number of incentives this guy. Listen, he should have never spent a year in Chicago. It is what it is.
I agree.
It is what it is. I don't know how we rebound from trying to justify that bullshit, but we'll see what happens going into 2026, whether or not he's included in the future roster. But Keenan's got some big roster bonuses coming up. I hope you have the chart. I've got it on my phone somewhere.
Oh, pull it up. I know Chris Ream had put it out.
Rim, by the way, since you brought that up while you're looking that up, Chris Rim, very, very underrated in his coverage of the Chargers. Yeah. I know everybody talks Daniel Popper, and we like him too. BoltBlitz loves Popper because he asks the difficult questions in difficult times. But we look at what Chris Rim put out on there. I know that he's a couple receptions away from one thing, a few yards. Yeah. I mean, it's nuts. Go ahead, Taylor. Take over if you got it right there.
Yeah. So he needs 6 more receptions to get a $750,000 bonus.
Put it on Underdog right now, and it will happen.
What's that?
I said, put it on Underdog. It will happen right now. The 6 receptions.
Oh yeah, that's easy. 9 receiving yards for $250. 2 touchdowns for $250. And it's a plus. He has a caveat here. So I think it's 134 receiving yards for another $250. And then if he has 4 touchdowns to end the season, it's another $250. So he has over $1 million of incentives riding on Sunday's game, and it's on the arm of Trey Lance right now.
If he hits all those, he owes Trey Lance the car that Trey was like, hey, I need a new car. I think Keenan kind of squashed that a little bit. But that being said, if Keenan has 4 touchdowns, I'll help chip in for the car.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's start the GoFundMe.
We'll get a go. Nah, we don't need to buy Keenan a car. But that being said, he's got so much riding on this game when it comes to, I think, and I don't want to be the first person to say this, or I do, but it really shows the organization's vision moving forward when it comes to Keenan, as far as being a part of this offense moving into the 2026 season. A lot of salary cap space. Alt, Slater healthy. This is a team that if they had a Slater and an Alt healthy, we would be talking. Well, we'd be a little more confident here, let's just say, on BoltBlitz, and maybe Taylor would be on the Electric Edge podcast. Again, if you have not checked that out, make sure you please do so. The Electric Edge pod, I believe there's just an @ sign before that, and this is Taylor Bloom. And Taylor, let's get into this thing that we had a little dissension, if you will, during the pre-show and the pre-show fun, if you will.
Yeah.
Win or lose, the seeding doesn't matter when you're going to advance forward and face tougher opponents. Taylor is not too concerned about the first opponent that the Chargers will face in the postseason. I'm a little more concerned depending on the matchup. Taylor, I put you on the spot here, but I did give you a little bit of warning. Tell us a little bit about why you're not too concerned, because it is the playoffs. And listen, if they're going to be the best, they got to beat the best.
Yep, agreed. So I think we caveat a little bit back to last year. So week 18, the Chargers get that win in Vegas and they solidify the 5 seed. And I'm like, great, this is awesome. We're going to go play Houston. We should get a win and we'll be on our way to the divisional round. And we all know how that panned out for the Chargers. This year, I think the coaching staff and the front office kind of agree that they're okay locking into the 7 seed. They'll take the loss. The 7 seed probably gets you playing New England at this point. But regardless if they get stuck at the 6 seed or the 5 seed, at some point you're going to play these teams in the playoffs, right? There's no easy path for the Chargers right now being a wild card team. It's a different story if he had won the division, but you're a wild card team. You're going to play all your games on the road at this point. The opponents are going to be tough. You may not face a team like Jacksonville or Houston in the wild card round, but if you win, you're going to maybe see them in the divisional round. So,
you'll see one of the other for sure.
So at the end of the day, yes, is there preferable matchups? Yes. Like I think the Chargers have a very good matchup against New England, but you're going to have to play all these teams in some capacity if you want to be in Santa Clara in February.
What's funny to me is I think the majority of the fan base, again, the Bolt fam, if you will, they would agree with you that New England is the desirable matchup.
Yep.
Between the Broncos and the Patriots, I think they've won 5 games against teams over 500. Like it's a different kind of season, and they're not playing the same against division winners. And they're struggling against those teams. Now, that being said, the Chargers did lose to the Giants. Not a comfortable loss for sure. And they had a couple more where it was just like, yeah, this should have been different. I don't like to count the Commanders game, to be quite honest, because anytime that they play a team like the Commanders that's so far and the traveling, every now and then I do allow that excuse to seep into my brain, if you will. Hit it.
I have a caveat to that. So I was at that game and the Chargers were rolling in the first quarter. Everything turned as soon as the flag wasn't thrown on that Quentin Johnson hit where he fumbled the ball. As soon as that happened, the whole game changed. So at that point, I think they were going to go up 17-0 if he catches that ball or a flag is thrown.
What I love about what you just did is you set me up for what I do best, and that's to improvise on the spot. Is this a team that can adjust, especially in games like the playoffs where it really, really matters? When a play like that happens and they don't get what they deserve, and listen, former official, former coach, former player, not in the NFL clearly, but at various other levels, It was a clear penalty, but has the Harbaugh regime, along with Joe Ortiz and of course Greg Roman and Jesse Minter, have they built enough of a foundation for this team to overcome those type of plays in the games that matter? Because listen, week 18 may not matter to a lot of people, but every game forward from there, oh, it's going to matter to everybody. Your thoughts on them being able to overcome plays like that they've struggled to overcome and end up losing games moving forward?
Yeah. I think they've done a much better job with adjustments coming out of the bye. Uh, you know, like that Commanders game, the Colts game, even the Giants game where it felt like nothing could get going on either side of the ball. I didn't see that too much coming out of the bye. I think about the Kansas City game. They were down, 10 points in that game, and they found a way to get things a little bit moving in their direction right before halftime and found a way to win. The same thing with the Eagles game. Like the defense was just relentless when the offense couldn't get going. I think they've done a much better job out of the bye, and I can only hope that these adjustments continue. And if you talk about last week against the Texans, right? 14-0 right out of the gate. That defense made adjustments, only give up 6 points the rest of the game.
It's always tough when you have two broken coverages to start a game, and then Herbert has less than 2 seconds to throw the ball. What's funny is and we didn't talk about this pre-show, but we can have some fun with this, Taylor. I'm sure you're very well knowledgeable in this situation when it comes to Justin Herbert has no MVP riz at all, as the children would say. I'm not sure that there's a team in the NFL that would be more completely blown the fuck up and incomplete if they didn't have their quarterback, if it wasn't the Chargers, a Chargers team without Justin Herbert. I mean, what this guy does, it's not just something that we get to watch as Charger fans every day or every game. The rest of the world should be able to see this shit, but it's so easy to pick on him. I think it's because he's 6'6", 240, Madison Beer girlfriend. He's in LA. He's killing it. He's broken so many records, like literal NFL. I know it's a passing league and that's going to morph and change, but I think it's too easy to hate on Justin Herbert. Is it because, and again, a new topic, is it because everybody just can't be him that they hate him so much? Listen, and I'm not trying to call out people, but I am. Kay Adams, Emmanuel Acho, I can keep going. Even Chase Daniel, who used to play with him.
Yeah.
Kurt Benkert, as we call him, #clickbait Kurt, because he's fake as fuck and he's one of the worst dudes in the industry. Stick to it, bitch, and you're horrible at that too, by the way. There are so many of these franchises and these channels and these stations that have come out and tried to use him as target fodder, and now where are they at? Kay Adams was celebrating Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
Like, that's a little weird. I mean, like, I don't get why people don't see Nick right. Are you kidding me? And Nick wrong about literally everything.
Yeah.
But his hatred because of his chief support has allowed him to put out hundreds of hours of Herbert just not being able to stack up against these other guys. I don't know who that one viewer is, but we're glad you're here. We didn't announce this show to anybody, by the way. Taylor and I talked about it a little bit, and we were just going to roll with it, and we're kind of doing our thing. The Herbert hate, allow me to put a bow on this. Well, set you up to put a bow on this. The Herbert hate is pretty obvious. I literally think it's just because everybody hates the fact that he's getting everything that they can't have. What does he do other than win a playoff game to get people to really respect what he's done and what he can do in this league?
I think even let's say he wins a game in the wild card round, I think then the goalpost moves. I don't think anyone is going to be satisfied with his performance just based on how the media perceives him. To your point, he's 6'6", 240. He elevates the players around him. And also to your point, if it's any other quarterback playing on the Chargers this year, they may have 3 wins. Like, that's not even an exaggeration. The things he's been able to do with the limited time he has in the pocket to make things happen, backyard football sometimes, he definitely doesn't get the respect that he deserves in the league. And those people who always criticize him do not watch complete Charger games. So I'll give you a perfect example. So I'm sitting at the game last week, and my husband's with me. He is not a Chargers fan. He watches because I'm a Chargers nut. And we're on the flight, and he's like, I didn't realize how tough Justin Herbert was until I watched him play on Saturday.
So, but what I love about that is that's a really fair statement, because unless you do, all you do is you hear the headlines. And what's funny to me, and you've been somebody like me who has actually experienced a lot of injuries, like serious injuries, excuse me, that have led to surgeries.
Yeah.
Changes your life.
Yeah.
It changes your day to day. It changes how you're able to take care of your family. It changes how you go to work. Not with Justin Herbert. It makes him tougher. Fucking somehow. I really don't get it. It's not just admirable. It's something where I literally tell my children, my son and my daughter, if you get bored, you're feeling down, take a look at what this guy does. Yeah, there are highlights from the Chargers social tween team, but that's cool. My kids loved that shit when they were really young. They were the favorites. My kids loved the Chargers social media team when they were between 10 and 14. And because they do a lot of those things for that group, because they're trying to grow the young base and then go from there. That content is certainly not for an old fuck like me. It's definitely not. But when you look at the hate that Herbert gets, it's just because he's in LA, and everybody was like, this is when we latch on to this, because there's just enough false evidence to make him look guilty. No one has paid attention to, by the way, 29 offensive line combinations this season, the most in the NFL. For those of you keeping track at home, he's going to have more different combinations tomorrow, no matter what. No matter what, it will be a new combination to start the game.
Yeah.
Throughout the game, it's a Chargers game. So there will at least be one or two more guys who cycle in and out of the offensive lineman lineup. This is a fun and weird and kind of interesting weekend, I think, for Chargers fans, because you're not really worried too much about seeding until we see what happens with the Bills. The Chargers, this is not a get a better draft pick game. It kind of doesn't matter, because you're going to have to show up no matter who you play in the playoffs.
Yep.
We've covered everything from the pre-show. And we've made this last, I've made this last a little longer than it should. Forgive me, but I just like having fun and talking with you, because you provide so much incredible information. Taylor, tell everybody where they can find you on social media. Make sure you shout out the Electric Edge podcast as well, please.
Yep. Yeah. So on socials, I'm on X, TikTok, and Instagram at Electric Edge Pod. And then if you want to listen to my show, I'm on YouTube at Electric Edge Podcast. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Same thing. Just search Electric Edge Podcast and you will find my show.
Taylor's not only worth a listen, she's one of the true folks out there who is actually providing information that you can use to make bets. If you're into that kind of thing, if you're trying to gamble, I would pay attention to what she has to say. If you're out there writing articles and trying to decide about those indecisive points in your mind, I would definitely tune into what she has to say, because she's very fact-driven, stat-driven. And as much as she does use PFF, she also knows that there's a little bit of fallacy within what they do. You guys are really getting a great one when you tune into that. Before I keep pumping her show up any further, I'm going to sign this one out. This has been a great show. Taylor, thank you so much for joining.
Absolutely.
Myself, BoltBlitz Uncut. We're morphing through a lot of shit. We're figuring everything out. The one person, whomever you are, we appreciate you. That's incredible. I could put you on the screen, but I'm not going to, because just in fear of the case that you don't want to be shouted out. I'm Booga Peters. This has been BoltBlitz Uncut. That was our co-host, and she'll be with us tomorrow night for our post-game show, along with 80 Simons. BoltBlitz Uncut, a little bit different. Thank y'all for joining us. We appreciate y'all. Love you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. God damn it.